you don't need to know a single DJ or have ever heard of Tomorrowland to get something out of today's episode, because today's episode is really a story about what happens when an event becomes a destination. Our journey included major travel delays, a Michelin-starred lunch paid for with dining credits, business class flights booked with points, an unexpected ER visit, and 3 incredible days at one of the world's largest music festivals. We found incredible food, unforgettable performances, people representing countries from around the world, and a festival that somehow made 400,000 attendees feel like one global community. Along the way, we're breaking down the points and miles strategy that made parts of this trip possible, what you shouldn't miss on a visit to Belgium, and what it was really like attending one of the most spectacular music festivals in the world. Welcome to the BoldlyGo Podcast. I'm your host, DeAndre Koch, along with my beautiful wife and co-host, Taryn, as well. As always, we have some incredible content for you today, and we're really excited to talk through the show today. Before we get into that, a few housekeeping reminders, as always. First is you can watch all these episodes in their full entirety on our YouTube channel. And for those that watch our episodes on YouTube, don't forget every Friday we release our quick hits. That's our audio only news in the world of travel and points and miles. So if you want to know the most up-to-date information or be informed of the most up-to-date information in the travel space, especially points and miles, you're going to want to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you can get your audio podcast. Don't forget, we do have our podcast library on our website, as well as our vlog channel, the BoldlyGo Travels, which you're going to want to subscribe to because you're going to want to see the incredible footage from the things that we talk about in today's episodes as well. And wherever you're listening to this or watching this, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a rating, leave a review, especially on Apple Podcasts if you listen there. And we would love, as always, that review and rating to be 5 stars.
So this is one of those trips that is honestly so hard to explain unless you experience it for yourself, but we're going to try to do our best. So we went to Belgium thinking Tomorrowland would be an incredible music festival. And it absolutely was. But it was so much more. It was immersive, it was creative, and it was really well organized, even more than we expected. And every stage felt like you were in a new world. We started at home and made our way to New York, spent a little time enjoying the city, and then flew business class to Brussels using points and miles. We used some advanced Amex Fine Hotel and Resorts tactics along the way and flew back in Lufthansa business class. So today we are taking you through the entire trip, how we booked it, what we did before the festival, what the Tomorrowland hotel experience actually was like, and whether or not we would do it again.
So I know our audience is a vast array of individuals, families, lifestyles, all sorts of things. So I want to remind you that we do have our timestamps in here. So if you are less interested in the Tomorrowland experience, which I promise you is going to be a great story for you to hear, but if you're less interested in that, use the timestamps because we're going to talk through, as Taryn mentioned, how we got there, the things that we did in Brussels, the experiences we had there, where we ate, all of those things. If you're ever interested in going to Belgium, I highly recommend you stick around for that. And at the end, we'll be talking about our return trip back also. So as always, we would love if you listen to the entire episode, but if you want to skip past or skip through some of the Tomorrowland content, we've got the timestamps, whether you're watching on YouTube or through one of the Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you'll be able to use that as well. So to talk through the trip a little bit, for anyone who doesn't know what Tomorrowland is, it is one of the world's largest, if not the world's largest music festival. It spans 2 weekends in July every year. It's been going on since 2005. I think 2005 may have had less than 10,000 people, and now it has over 400,000 people that attend. Every year, millions of people try to get tickets, and it is so difficult to get tickets to this festival, but it has been on our list for a while because, Taryn, we love electronic music, and we love music festivals in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it is the largest EDM festival in the world. And obviously that is music that we are very into. Can I tell a story about how we actually got the tickets this year?
Absolutely. I know you're going to want to do that, so go for it.
Okay, good. You should have been ready for that.
Yes.
Because we have tried to get tickets to this for the past 3 years. And we would all log in. We'd be on the queue and you have to wait. It's a whole thing. And it's really a lot of luck and timing. So tickets went on sale the day after we got back from our epic honeymoon where we had just gotten back from New Zealand. And obviously we were jet lagged. And we were like, we're going to get up and we're going to get in the queue when it starts at 10 a.m. DeAndre did. I overslept. And when I woke up, I felt so terrible. It was 12:30 and I was like, oh no. And I walked out and he's got all his laptops and he's like, I'm in the queue and several different emails and devices. And I was like, I'm so sorry, so jet lagged. And I was like, I'm just going to go on my phone. And I'll never forget. You were just like, why bother? I've already been waiting, since 10.
It was 2 hours. I've been waiting. I've been literally just staring at blank screens.
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. It's 12:30 at this point.
12:30. And I was like, let me just join on my phone. So I'm joining on my phone. I'm stumbling downstairs, trying to make coffee. Again, we are adjusting from a major jet lag. And 15 minutes, I got in.
Just so frustrating. It was so frustrating.
But you can't be mad because we got tickets. We got to go. And maybe I was meant to oversleep. And I needed that rest. And that was the reward. My rest rewarded us with Tomorrowland tickets.
I'm excited that we went. I'm more frustrated I feel like there's a lack of decorum here because if you join a queue, you expect it to be a line, not a random entry point that can just happen anywhere. But yes, that is how we got tickets. So Taryn bought the tickets through her accounts because literally this is something that groups of friends will get together and everyone's in different rooms or in different internet service providers between their cell phone and laptop and tablet, different accounts trying to get in. So while it's literal millions of people trying to join or trying to get tickets, there are probably millions upon millions of accounts that are trying to do it at the same time. That's how insanely desirable this festival is.
And sleeping in worked out for me. So you know what? Sometimes you should just sleep in if you need the rest. Just saying. It worked out for us. So we were really excited to get to go, even though obviously the queue didn't really make a lot of sense. But I'll encourage you if you're interested in going, don't pay attention to that. And if you wake up and you miss the start, still try because you never know. But yeah, so what would you say would be the reason that we wanted to go for 2026?
I think it's probably a good thing it didn't work out last year because with the wedding, the bachelor party, the bachelorette party, all those different things, I know if we had gotten the tickets, if we had gotten in, we probably would have gone, but realistically, it's probably a good reason to not go. So the fact that we had the ability to go this year is absolutely fantastic. And it was, as we're going to talk through, it was a great experience. I think some of the things, so when you go in, this is one of those things, I don't know, I've never tried to buy BTS or Taylor Swift tickets, but you have to go in, you have to be quick. And unlike other places where, hey, once you get your spot, okay, cool, you have 20 minutes to buy or reserve your tickets, this is a little bit different because once you get in and the servers are super overloaded, sometimes they crash, they kick you back out. We've had different experiences over the years. Once you get in, you then have to decide your package you're going to select. And you can do a train, hotel, and ticket combination, flight, hotel, and ticket combination, just hotel and tickets, which is what we did.
Camping, which we did not do.
Correct. The camping/glamping options they have, weekend 1 versus weekend 2. And it's kind of a mad grab because people are trying to grab whatever is available. And one of the things that we were concerned about, if you caught our episode back in episode 33 on the podcast, we talked about doing EDC Vegas, which is also one of the largest festivals in the world. And it's in the same kind of genre. That one we did as VIP. And usually when we do these music festivals, we always get VIP tickets. One of the biggest reasons why is for quality of bathrooms.
At least through Insomniac.
Correct.
Events. For the VIP through, and because EDC, Glow, even Moonrise, right, are all Insomniac events. So we're very accustomed to the US Insomniac kind of package of what you get with VIP and what you get with GA and those differences. And yeah, VIP has always been the way that we prefer.
Yeah.
for those events, but this was an unknown.
Absolutely. So not just quality bathrooms, but even like having access to the main stages and having, space to be close to the stages and all these different things. So we were really concerned about, well, the VIP, which they call comfort, is full madness comfort versus just full madness tickets. Well, those went immediately, basically. And so when we finally got in, there weren't any available. So we went ahead and we ended up booking through Global Journey. That's where you can do these packages. That is the best way to get in for anyone that's been trying. If you just try to go and just get tickets, it's almost impossible. Going through Global Journey makes it easier, meaning that you're viewing a package with either a hotel, a flight, something along those lines. And when you do that, or when we did that, we picked La Plaza, which we're going to get into. That's one of the theme hotels, which I'm so glad we were able to get it. It was an incredible decision as well. So it was fantastic. One thing to note, although we talk points and miles, we're going to talk through a lot of points and mile strategy and how we got there and what we did. This was paid straight cash. There was I don't think so far there's a hack with this outside of redeeming your points for a statement credit. This was about $6,000 US for our entire hotel and ticket package, I think, Taryn.
Yep. I mean, there are ways, but there's not really a great redemption, right? Because we met somebody who had used his points and miles through StubHub, but we'd argue that might not be the best redemption. But the best redemption is also the redemption that works for you. So, right, we've talked about that as well. But it's not really going to save you money for that one.
Right, yeah, I think definitely with StubHub, like you can get, especially the multiplier, maybe use your $150 Chase credit towards that. Again, it's not going to put a huge dent into getting that ticket. And then you're likely also paying a huge markup. So if you're going through StubHub, that means you didn't get it through the direct purchase route, which is going to be the best route to probably save you money.
If you're lucky and you can get it.
Correct. If you're lucky and can even get it. And I did see through some of the chats through different forums and things like that, or Facebook groups, where people said that they've been for 10 plus years. And many people actually said they've never gone through the official purchase. They had to always buy secondhand. And that's the only way they've been able to go. So again, that's how hard it is to get tickets to this event. So overall, give you an idea of our itinerary before we actually get into it. We flew from our home in Norfolk to New York. We then flew from New York to Brussels. We spent several days in Belgium at one hotel and then moved to another hotel that was a theme hotel for Tomorrowland. We had a recovery day, and then we flew business class back home on Lufthansa. So we're going to start with the New York part first with this. So with New York, this was a whole interesting scenario. In a perfect world, the flight that we had booked actually was found using PointsPath. So it was Norfolk to JFK, a leg we fly many, many times. This was on Delta, but PointsPath actually found it for, check this out, so it was $527 for two people for this one way. It was only $11,000 total Air France KLM flying Blue miles and $34. So it's almost a 4.5 cent redemption. So basically 5,500 miles per person. And we did that by just transferring our Amex points over to KLM flying Blue. And that's why I really love the PointsPath browser extension, Google extension, I should say, because when you're just searching for what would likely you'd be paying cash for, you never know what you're going to find that's going to be an incredible deal. However, that flight was severely delayed. It was supposed to leave at like 7 in the morning, get into New York at 8:30. We had an entire day lined up in New York, which I know we're going to get into here. But the downside with that is it was delayed over 11 hours. So we saw that there was mechanical issues. We saw that American Airlines had a later flight out. So we bought that. That was like actually $500 in cash that we bought that flight for. That flight was delayed like 3 or 4 hours, and thankfully we live like 10 minutes from the airport, so we literally left the airport and went home. After we finally got our bags back from Delta, rechecked with American, we just went home, and I monitored the flights from home because it was so bad. We had already stayed at the airport, I don't even know, 6 or 7 hours, and our airport doesn't even have a lounge.
I mean, we got there like before 5, right?
Yeah, something like that. I think we got there like 5:30 or so, since we had a 7 a.m. flight.
Yeah, we were there over 12 hours.
Yeah, you're right. We left around 5. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were there like 12 hours, and that's where it was like, all right, we don't have a lounge. We live 10 minutes from the airport. Let's tap out. and go get a break and come back and take this other flight. But the funny part was that like for both airlines, you could hear people complaining like, this is the last time I'm going to fly this airline. Yep. And I just wanted to like tap them and be like, hey, there's actually issues on all the airlines right now. And we just switched and we're still having issues. And we'll come back to that on the way home as well. But it was a bit of a chaotic day. And there was a lot of really fun like interactions that we had planned, friends I wanted to meet up with in New York that we did not get to because we didn't get in until like 12 a.m. And that wasn't even... Did we even get to the hotel by that time? I feel like...
Yeah, we landed around 10:30. By the time we got our bags, we got to the hotel. I remember when we were trying to check in, I looked at my watch because he literally said, is it still today? Basically, I looked at my watch and it was 11:55 or something along those lines. So it was severely delayed. And one thing I did want to do is shout out, we saved all of our receipts because I've talked about this before. We talked about our delays and our travel issues in New Zealand or on our honeymoon in general. We bought trip insurance for this trip, as I do for all of our big trips, through World Nomads, which we have a link for in all of our show notes. We do have an affiliate link with them, full disclosure, but I purchased World Nomads myself for all of our trips, and we're saving all of our receipts and everything to make sure that we can actually get reimbursed for our food visits, because we didn't have a lounge. We literally just bought drinks at a restaurant at our airport the entire time, all the delays, all the different things as well. So one thing that I want to point out, always have travel insurance, whether it's with your credit card or some overarching umbrella insurance like World Nomads.
Absolutely. It comes in handy, and you really do need it. We've needed it more than we thought we would. So we stayed at the Kimpton Era Midtown, which is an IHG property where I have Diamond Elite status. And this would have been over $500 for the night. So we used the $40K free night certificate that comes every year with my IHG One Rewards Premier card, plus $30K IHG points since it was $70K points for the night. And I have to say, and I'm hoping to have a better experience in the future, but my status meant nothing. When we checked in, yes, I understand it was almost midnight, but they started panicking when we were trying to check in, and it was very clear that they didn't think they even had a room for us, which I would think if you're at like the top level of any kind of, status tier, that at least at minimum you would have like your room is still saved, even if it's like okay, fine, we probably missed that complimentary upgrade when available, no problem. But the look of panic in his eyes, right, when we were checking in and he had to go get a supervisor, it was very clear that they didn't think they had a room for us at all.
Yeah, and I was so concerned because we had I think it was like an $80 Uber to get out there. And again, we had plans to do a bunch of stuff in the city, which is why we booked that hotel versus something closer to JFK. And we both looked at each other like, what is going on here? Because if he's like, hey, we don't have a room tonight for you, I don't even know what we would have done in a scenario like that. I think worst case scenario for your status, if they had given away our room or were planning on it, because of your status, at the very least, they should have at least called to check in and see, hey, are you still coming? Are you on the way? Et cetera, et cetera. Now, I could argue that perhaps we should have reached out and let them know that we're delayed because of our trip, and that didn't cross my mind at all. I think it's something I'm going to keep in mind a little bit more now with this because we did almost arrive the next day, technically.
I kept thinking of doing that, but we didn't know where we were with like mechanical issues. Like they kept pushing us out. So like, honestly, it occurred to me several times, like I should update them that we're not coming in at 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning. But then it's like, I don't know if and when we are getting in today. And then when we finally were able to take off, it was kind of like a mad dash of like, oh, thank goodness this flight's actually going to get there. And it was just relief, get on the plane. So, I mean, it was not like we had the luxury of like, oh, we are delayed this finite amount of time and it's secure. And with everything with the World Cup and everything else, I mean, there's a lot of people coming in and out, at that time. So there was kind of a lot going on, and I was glad that we had a room. It was a standard New York City room. It was
tiny.
Which is much smaller than the average hotel room. That's a standard room. They're small. They're very small. And again, we didn't obviously get an upgrade, anything of that nature. But, maybe third time's a charm. We'll see if something happens in the next time that I try. But I'm really hoping that, this Diamond Elite status was not all for naught. But yeah, we were going to the original plan was to do a little bit of bar hopping. We were going to go to Pastis and then have dinner as well as a World Cup viewing party and dinner at Magic Hour Rooftop, where we were going to use something that you had.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of a Vegas hack, if you want to call it. And you can technically do this anywhere where that they have the restaurants or nightlife. But in my bachelor party last year, we had a nightclub experience at Hakkasan. We did the Tao Beach Club, and we did, I think, a brunch at Lavo. And all of these are under the Tao network of restaurants and nightlife. And so they actually have their own rewards program and credit program. So basically, I think for every $200 you spend, you get like a $10 or $20 credit to use with them or something along those lines. And so I had $380 in credits to use that expired beginning of August this year. So I wanted to use those. That's free money out there. And there's a bunch of bars and a bunch of restaurants in New York City.
It was more than like 15.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And we have 0 Tao properties anywhere near us.
Yeah, it was like substantially. I think there's like New York, Miami, Chicago, and Vegas, and New York has the large majority of them. So the goal was like, hey, we're gonna meet friends for dinner and World Cup party at $400 to spend on drinks and other things. And so we still needed to pivot / wanted to pivot to make it happen as best as possible because I had literally money to just burn here that we weren't going to be able to use otherwise.
Yep. And we ended up going to Magic Hour Rooftop for brunch the next day. There was no World Cup game, although it seems like a really cool place to actually watch the game because you've got a beautiful rooftop. They had great TV set up, but the cocktails were great. And the vibe was really different. It was really cool. I really liked the place. It was nice. And you burned that money, even if you had to make friends and offer to buy them pictures.
Yeah, between the two of us and then a friend, and we could only drink and eat but so much and drink so many pictures of cocktails. So I made friends and bought them pictures as well. I will say that probably the highlight of this rooftop, though, if you're going to New York City, is it had an incredible view of the Empire State Building. So although we were there during daytime, not the nightlife, I think both nightlife or daytime, it's an incredible place to absolutely go.
Great place to catch some rays in the summer if it's a nice day on the rooftop too. So definitely, if you want to be in the sun. They also had places in the shade if you don't want to be in the sun, which is fantastic. So after that, which is where I didn't want to fill up at Magic Hour Rooftop because we had plans and reservations for the tasting menu at the Modern for lunch.
Yeah, and that's actually a 2-star Michelin restaurant, and it's on Chase's Sapphire Reserve dining table, so you get the $150 credit once every 6 months, basically, so the first half of the year and the back half of the year. Literally, I've never used this credit. I think it just started last year, but never used this credit, but we found a restaurant that was not too far from where we were staying, and there was a list of restaurants, actually a bunch of restaurants, but Taryn saw this one, and 2-star Michelin. And
I've been wanting to go. No, I know about the Modern. I've been wanting to go to the Modern, and it was fantastic. The ambiance is great. You've got art. It has a really cool modern vibe, and I love the eggs on eggs on eggs with the caviar on top. So I had a fabulous time, although I think I blew all of our credit on the bottle of champagne that I ordered.
Yeah, I think between probably the drinks before and just being tired, I don't think we looked at the menu pricing right. So we bought a bottle of champagne plus the tasting, and the bottle of champagne was $144. So we used our entire credit.
We already got like $380 for free right before that. So you know what? I feel like it's still a win.
I think that's what they call girl math, babe.
Yeah, and in girl math, that's a win. That's a win, babe. So that was fantastic. All right, so let's talk about how we got to Belgium.
Yeah, so we flew Brussels Airlines business class direct to Belgium from JFK. That was about a 6.5-hour flight that left in the evening. It was that weird time. It's probably one of the downsides with flying to Europe from the East Coast is the flight's too short to really be able to rest and enjoy the flight, specifically because we landed in Belgium around, I think, 8:30 in the morning. So we booked this using 120,000 points in total for 2 people. There was approximately $115 in taxes and fees. And for that one way, the comparable price was about $6,100 for the 2 of us. So that would have been a redemption of around 4.99 cents if you do all the math on that. And how we actually booked it is if you remember talking through booking and planning the honeymoon last year, I had 230,000 Aeroplan points stuck there due to some phantom bookings and then changes that we made to our honeymoon flight schedule. And so we ended up actually using 120,000 of those that were stuck there, which is great, which is why I've never upset having points stuck at places like Air Canada or even Air France KLM Flying Blue because of the fact that they're programs that we're going to use very, very likely. So let's talk through a little bit. We went to the lounge there. We didn't have a ton of time when we got there. By the time we kind of got to the lounge, we kind of sat, had a drink, maybe a snack. We actually, ironically, used the Lufthansa business class lounge that's in JFK, and then we went right to our gate. The flight was a little bit delayed. Actually, so ironically, every single flight that we took our entire trip was delayed by between anywhere from 2 minutes to 11 hours. So this one was delayed a little bit because the plane that was supposed to be in its spot hadn't backed out yet or whatever it may be. But what'd you think of this flight, babe?
I thought it was really nice. I mean, it was a nice flight. I was a little delirious from being awake for so long, if I'm being completely honest. I was just very happy to be able to lay flat. And I think I slept most of this flight. And I didn't really enjoy the unlimited champagne and all of the things because after the day we had and everything else, before I kind of crashed once we got onto that flight. What about you?
Yeah, so this was flown on the A330. For the plane nerds out there, it's a 222 configuration, which works really well for us because I know, Taryn, you love being by the window.
Yes, I love that.
And I like being by the aisle so we can get the best of both worlds versus just being in the middle together, which is also fine as well. But I know you like the window access also. It was pretty good.
More storage. Always more storage space.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of storage there, and some things didn't work, like the outlets didn't work really well. It was a little outdated. I mean, it wasn't terrible. We're flying business class, right? So these are first world problems. But one thing that I struggle with, and I don't know if this is maybe just a me thing, because the flight we took back with Lufthansa was the same configuration, very similar setup. On both of those, I struggled to sleep or nap because I was so hot. It just felt like it was really warm on the plane. I was not comfortable at all. So that's probably my only downside. But overall, the food was good. We got Belgian chocolates as snacks. It was great service. I thought it was overall pretty good.
Yeah, the service was great. I would like a little more storage, but I mostly slept on that flight. So it served the purpose it needed to, and the food was good. So I was a happy girl.
Yeah, so we landed at Brussels Airport. The line for immigration was longer than it should have been. Because our flight was delayed, we landed at the same time as 4 other planes. So we ended up standing in immigration line for about an hour and a half.
Was it longer than that? I thought it was 2.
Yeah, no, it was closer. It was 90 minutes. It felt longer.
It felt long. That was longer than I feel like we've spent in immigration in most countries that we've actually ever been to. I can't think of somewhere that we've waited longer.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It did felt much longer than is typical for sure. And then we just got a taxi to the airport. We walked right out, found a taxi, and that taxi driver actually gave us his card, which we used because he ended up being the ones to take us back to the airport. So we always like to save those cards for things like that because it makes it super easy.
Especially if they're cool and not creepy, obviously.
Correct. Yes, that is a requirement. They have to be cool and not creepy. We have
criteria. Yes. And not like crazy drivers. There's certain things you have to check. But if you need a driver, we can give you his number.
Yes, we had the uncool and the creepy before, so we try to avoid that for sure.
As a woman, it's like everything you deal with. So you just don't have to acknowledge it as much as I do.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and we'll put his number in the show notes as well. That way you guys, if anyone wants to take a trip to Belgium, you can go ahead and have a taxi driver that can meet you there at the airport for you.
Yeah, he's a great driver.
So our first hotel was the Steigenberger Icon Wiltshires.
Hold on. I've been told from a German, it's Steigenberger. Okay, we're going to get ripped apart trying to do this. But he was like, you're saying it so wrong. And the Belgian people we met also were like, that's not how you say it.
Yes.
So the way we're saying it is not actually how you should say it to anyone in Europe.
Please don't.
This is the American way.
To be fair, the Brussels Belgian people, they pronounce it Steigenberger, so they don't do the hard G's, which is
yeah,
weird.
because it's French. It's a French thing. You don't do a hard G, and then it's like Steigenberger. It's not pronounced the way that we say it. Just full disclosure.
That being said, we'll move on because I know the listeners are like, okay, get past the pronunciation here. But we picked this one. I know you really wanted to pick this because of the great stay that we had in the amazing room we had coming back a couple years ago. We were in Frankfurt and we stayed at the Icon there, Icon Hof, I think it was, and that was a beautiful hotel.
Beautiful, gorgeous hotel. I was like, I want to stay at another one of these properties so badly. So that was going to be what it was. And the location was really fantastic. The room was really nice. I love the vibe of it. It's like old, classy, but with modern touches. And they've got beautiful bars, really nice rooms, and the service is honestly fantastic in terms of like front desk, everything, top to bottom. They were a fantastic hotel. And even though this was an older property than the one we stayed at when we were in Germany, I still am a big fan of this brand.
Yeah, that was great. I would absolutely stay there again. Let's talk about a little bit about how we booked it, because we got a little bit creative and got rewarded for the creativity, basically. So this is actually a Fine Hotels and Resort property. And so Taryn at the time had her personal Amex Platinum and business Platinum, and then I had my personal Platinum, and I didn't use my business Platinum. So we knew we were staying there for 3 nights. So what a lot of people do is they'll do one person book, a couple nights, and another person do a night themselves. Well, we actually did a little bit different. Taryn booked 1 night with one card. I booked 1 night with my card, and then she booked the 3rd night with her other card. So we were able to get the Amex Fine Hotel and Resorts credit 3 times, which is great. So that $300 credit each time. This hotel was $365 per night, so then we ended up only costing us $65 per night. So let me take a step back. When you typically do consecutive bookings, you only get to use your $100 credit once. So if Taryn had done her stay like for 2 days back to back, they would only let her use her $100 Fine Hotels and Resorts credit one time between those 2 days, and then for the day I booked, I'd get to use it. Well, since we did it back to back to back in this unique way, well, I'd say the guy was very impressed when he realized that.
Oh my gosh. I remember he was like, so wait, you had her card, then your card, and your name. And he's like, let me shake your hand, sir. He was so impressed by the game, which was, feels good when game recognizes game. So that was pretty cool.
He said he had never seen anyone ever do that before in all of his time at the hotel.
And they linked our reservations. We didn't have to change rooms. We did still have to get keys because apparently they still will expire. So that's the only hassle, is just you have to make sure you go back down and get your key after those checkout dates. But we basically benefited. We had the credit, which was €85 to spend each day. And it was a great stay.
Yeah, and I think also the way they did it, when I realized the billing, because some of the days we went a little over and some of the days we went a little under, we owed nothing at the end of our stay. Instead of actually saying you could only spend this amount each day, this hotel actually just gave us a total of whatever 85 times 3 is in credits for our entire stay, which is great. So we literally would go back after dinner and go to the bar and just burn money basically for cocktails or a nightcap or whatever it may be. I will say this, I did email them in advance to let them know, hey, there's these 3 bookings, here are the confirmation numbers, can you please link them? Because I didn't know if we were going to get 3 times use of that €85 or $100 credit. I expected us to at least get 2, but I felt so vindicated and rewarded that we got 3 to use at this place. And as you said, we didn't have to change rooms as well, which made it really nice.
The only thing we didn't get, which we would have gotten if we would have changed rooms, which I'm not sure would be worth it, but maybe, they have a mini fridge full of wine, beers, and things. And basically, with your Fine Hotel and Resort credit, you can have everything in the fridge, which is like 2 small bottles of wine, a small bottle of champagne, 2 beers, a couple of small bottles of liquor and mixers. And it's like anything in there you can have. And because we were in the same room for 3 days, we didn't get to benefit from them replenishing it and getting that for free again, which is fine. We were out exploring, but I feel like that's the only thing that we didn't get to take advantage of in that combination of our reservations. But we spent so much time out and about. It was fine, especially because the location was so good. It was right near the metro.
Yeah, so they have like a light rail, and it's right outside the stop called Symphony, literally a less than 3-minute walk. And the public transportation there works really, really well. Not as perfect as like Hong Kong and Singapore, but pretty easy to use and works really well. And so we were able to get around town that way. And we just did a lot of walking and exploring.
Oh, yeah, we did. I mean, the first day we were recovering because we had spent a lot of time traveling in airports. But, it was a really easy walk around kind of place. There was a lot of beautiful things to look at and try. And we were very excited that they had our room ready. And when we got to check in, which we were walking around just waiting for our room to be ready, essentially, when we got there.
Yeah, I remember the episode I did with Dr. Kevin, who's a sleep surgeon, basically. He recommended when you travel, make sure to get as much sunlight as you possibly can when you get to that new destination, even though you're tired or jet lagged. That's going to do wonders for you, so we made sure to do that. Also, our room wasn't ready, but we made sure to walk around. We explored a little bit of the neighborhood for about an hour or two before our room got ready, which was nice. We had planned the next day to go to Bruges, which is supposed to be a really nice destination within Belgium. We were going to take a train. It takes about an hour or so to get there. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, I woke up that night in the middle of the night. So I went to bed with my hand starting to bother me. My wrist specifically was starting to hurt me, and I didn't really know why. I went to bed, and through the night around 3 a.m. I'm waking up with like excruciating pain in my wrist and my arm, and I basically get no sleep. So long story short, I wake up and I'm like, I think I need to go to the ER. I don't know what's happening. I've never had like an issue or cramp or something like that before like this, and it was like tingling through my pinky, my elbow, like I thought I was having nerve issues. I didn't know what was going on. So I went to the local ER, waited for 4 hours or so, got seen by a doctor. The whole thing, they did a lot of mobility stuff. They didn't do an x-ray or anything like that. Long story short, they thought that it was a mixture of kind of, I don't know, tendinitis and or whatever it may be. But the cool thing is it was only a €50 ER visit, which was really nice compared to whatever would have been in the States.
Thousands. I mean, honestly, the healthcare in Europe is spectacular. It really is. I mean, we are not even people who live there. We are visiting. I can't imagine if somebody was visiting here without insurance and had to go to the ER, how much money that would have cost them. Like, because even with insurance, it would have been thousands for us.
Sure, 100%. So between me not sleeping well, so sleeping later, I think I woke up around noon that day, and having to go to ER for 4 to 5 hours, we kind of lost that entire day, which was a little unfortunate. Shout out, though, I'm going to get that €50 reimbursed by World Nomad, so I'm super excited about that. But not excited about losing out on the day, so we decided to go into town a little bit, walk around, catch dinner, and we ended up, I actually used ChatGPT for a recommendation on like where we should go.
Yeah, we wanted something authentic.
Authentic, not like allows us to explore a little bit to get there. And they recommended a restaurant, which didn't know how to pronounce when we got there. Had to ask the people there how to pronounce it. I'm going to butcher it, but it's something pretty close to Newt-Niganoush. And we ate there for dinner, and it was an authentic Belgian food that's loved by both locals and visitors alike. And it was fantastic.
It was amazing. It was a small kitchen. And you could tell from the owner, she takes no BS. So just be ready to be where you need to be and don't do anything you're not supposed to do. But it was some of the best food. It was such a great place. While you're waiting for a table, there's no reservations. So you have to get there. You got to wait. It wasn't a long wait. And there was a cute little convenience store that you could buy a beer and drink it out on the curb while you're waiting for your table, which was really nice and which we took advantage of. But the food there was spectacular. So we had the carpaccio, which is fantastic. I always love a beef carpaccio. And then we had those delicious little meatballs. And then it was an Iberico pork tenderloin, which I'd never had. I've only had the Spanish, Iberico, ham that you get when you're in Spain. But the food was great. They had a lot of incredible, Belgian beers on tap if you're into that. And I mean, it was a really cute place and you could tell it was authentic. I mean, did you enjoy your food?
I did. It was great. And that was our first taste of authentic Belgian fries, which for those who don't know, French fries, as we call them, don't actually come from France. They're actually originated in Belgium. And we learned about that on the food tour that we took the very next day with Charles from Do Eat Better. And that was a food tour that you found that we booked through Viator.
Yes, we did. And don't skip on the mayonnaise. They made homemade mayonnaise.
Oh, yes.
At that restaurant. And when you dip those fries in the homemade mayo, it's like a whole nother experience. And I love mayo. I don't know what they do to their mayo that makes it better, but it's better. But yes, I was really excited to do a food tour. As you guys know, if you listen, I love a food tour. I want to know the history. I want to know about the food. I want to know what you're known for. What do you make? What we do. And I loved Charles. I loved learning about architecture and the animation and all of the different things with the cartoons and the Smurfs, right? They have a lot of history in Belgium in so many different areas. So I really liked that tour because it was not just a food tour. I feel like a lot of the food tours really focus on just the food aspect, but we covered architecture. We went to churches. We talked about culture. We talked about art. It was such a great day and we really lucked out. And I said it to you and you were like, no way. I was like, what if it's just you, me, and the tour guide today? You're like, no way. And second time this has happened to us, we lucked out and it was just us and a food tour guide that we both got to ask a lot of questions to. And we had their full attention, which is always really great because you get that really personal experience. And Charles was spectacular.
Yeah, we'll link to the tour in the show notes as well. It was hands down fantastic. We had 5 stops on the way, starting with croquettes all the way to ending with Belgian chocolate at the place where the original praline was invented, basically. Along the way, we saw a bar that was opened in 1590 something. I mean,
it was the oldest one. He said it was the oldest tavern in all of Belgium or something. We couldn't get in because it was closed, remember?
Yep.
But yeah, that was so cool to see the history in those forts and the castles. It was beautiful.
It was a really great way to learn more about the city itself and where it came from and the origins. I mean, it was fantastic. Absolutely loved the food tour. I think he made a really bold statement when he said we're about to see the most beautiful square in all of Europe. And before we walked into it, I was like...
Both of us kind of were we'll see. We haven't been to even all of Europe yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then we walked into what's called the Grand Place, or I guess it translates to Grand Place. And yeah, it is incredible.
It was spectacular. The gold, the architecture, and then just understanding how this was a square and how it was so important in the culture at the time with the tradesmen and where to find somebody for each job that you needed. It was a really amazing tour. It was beautiful. So to date, I agree with him, but I haven't seen all of Europe yet. But right now, me and Charles are on the same page. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. You have to go and see it. Unfortunately, our view was slightly ruined because of all of the things set up there for Tomorrowland.
For a live viewing.
A live viewing, which is a perfect segue of transitioning, because after we got done with the food tour, we ended up starting our process of getting to Tomorrowland, because the next day we checked out of the Steigenberger and we went to the La Plaza, our theme hotel.
Oh my gosh. Staying at a theme hotel was so cool. I'm really glad that we were able to do that. I mean, it was like this different hotel, but it was all Tomorrowland, right? Like, so when we got there, it was, signs and performers and the vibe. It was a really nice way to get like your system regulated of like, we are about to go into some EDM stuff. And it just felt very magical.
Yeah, it absolutely did. So we checked out of Steigenberger. We got to the La Plaza Hotel, which is actually the first and original theme hotel for all of Tomorrowland. They have, I think, 2 or 3 other ones now, or total, I should say. And so we got there around noon. Our room was ready immediately. We had, I believe, either a deluxe junior suite or a junior suite. So we kind of dropped all our luggage off, unpacked. And because we didn't get to go to Bruges, we didn't get to see anything outside of Brussels, we did a small day trip to Ghent, which is a smaller town that's only about 30-40 minutes away by train once you actually get on the main train out there. Spent about €76 round trip for 2 people for the first class cabin on the train, which is just quieter, a little bit more space, and it's on the second level, so great view as well on the train. And that was supposed to be a really cool opportunity to experience an incredibly beautiful town with amazing architecture and everything. But we got there and noticed that something was dramatically different than we expected. And Taryn, you want to share what that was?
We saw a lot of scaffolding. We saw some ducks. We saw some pink elephants. And we're like, what is happening in Ghent right now? And what we learned is that they have a festival that was basically going to be running starting simultaneously really with the first weekend of Tomorrowland that hosts up to 1 million people. So it's a huge local festival. And some people definitely obviously travel, but there was so much going on, so much they were setting up. There was kegs of beer everywhere. It definitely obstructed some of our views of, the architecture and scenery, but also it made me want to come back and actually go to that festival because it looked like a hell of a time.
Yeah, it's one of Europe's largest festivals, coincidentally, and one of the locals there said, yeah, everyone hears about Tomorrowland. No one's ever heard about this festival. Yeah, they had DJ stages. I mean, everywhere you looked. So it really, unfortunately, no picture or video really looks that great there during this time because there's so much stuff set up, infrastructure set up. But if you look it up on Instagram or anything, it's such a beautiful looking town. Everyone bikes around all over the place. It's a really great place. So I highly recommend to go check it out. We just didn't get that experience specifically when we went ourselves.
But the fort was so cool.
Yes.
As well. That was beautiful.
Yeah, there's a huge castle fort there, multiple churches that are so ornately designed. I mean, it was overall really great. So we didn't spend too long there. We ended up only being there for 4 or 5 hours, had lunch, and then we took the train back. Train/metro/light rail, all sorts of things to get back to our hotel. La Plaza actually is right near kind of a major mall area with its own subway station, like a major subway station also. And so it was really easy to commute around from La Plaza. So our hotel actually had a really nice gift for us as well. So we ended up getting a welcome bottle of champagne. So each day the hotel had a gift for us as being part of what's called the Global Journey package with Tomorrowland. And as you already mentioned, I mean, the place is ornately set up, Tomorrowland theme. I mean, the elevators have it on the walls. This logo that if you're watching on YouTube, you see on my hat, that's
butterflies everywhere.
Yes, they have the logo, the butterflies everywhere. They had dancers. They had all sorts of things. I mean, it was truly you were there and you're like, I am here for Tomorrowland, as you said, Taryn. And so it was fantastic. We ended up also having breakfast included. They had a massive breakfast buffet, a separate room just full of fruits and smoothies and such as well. So we ended up getting some rest, as much rest as we could that night, and then went into day 1 of Tomorrowland.
Absolutely. And also, you forgot about the Friendship Lounge, which is a really cool place. While you're checking in, if your room's not ready, you get a free glass of, champagne, and you could interact with other people that were also going to go there, make new friends, that kind of thing. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so day one, where do we want to start?
Yeah, so I know, while I actually was getting breakfast, you were at the beauty bar. So why don't you talk about there? They have a full on-site team, basically, to glam you up.
Yes, they do. So there's some tips with this, and it's going to depend on if they change the rules. Because I've heard in previous years, when you got your ticket, you had to stay there, and if you left, you lost your space. It was not like that this year. As long as you kind of showed up, you would kind of skip if you had an earlier number and you'd go ahead of other people. So it was a little bit chaotic in terms of timing. And I ended up being one of the last people to finish and just make it onto the shuttle as my hair was getting done. But they have different eye makeup looks, both for guys and for girls, which was super cool. They these really cool like brow glitter looks for men, as well as different cat eye and other options that you could get. And they would do that. You do your eye makeup, they do your hair, they had braids, they had other things. So there was a lot of really cool things at the beauty bar that you could do right down there. I'd just say plan well, go down early if you're going to take advantage of those things, because if you get a late number, you might end up waiting and then still have to end up doing your own hair and makeup. So plan accordingly, even though I know it's a really difficult thing to plan just from doing it myself.
Hey everyone, quick break from the episode. If you're enjoying the show, make sure you're subscribed on whatever platform you're listening on so you never miss an episode. And if you've gotten any value so far, it would mean the world if you left a quick rating or review. It helps more people discover the show and keeps us motivated to keep creating great content. Also, if you're feeling stuck or want help with points and miles, whether it's picking your first card, planning a big redemption, or even having someone book it all for you, we've got you covered. There's a link in the show notes to schedule a free points and miles consultation. Just fill out a quick questionnaire, tell us your goals, and we'll take it from there. And don't forget, our newsletter and private Facebook group are great ways to stay on top of breaking news, updated card offers, and tips that don't always make it into the podcast. You'll find those links in the show notes as well. Now, back to the episode. Yeah, so after you got that done, as you mentioned, we immediately got on the shuttle. It's about an hour shuttle ride from the hotel, and then about a 15-minute walk in when they drop you off. And unlike a lot of other festivals that have baggage check and ID check and all these different things, this one was super smooth getting in. We never really had to wait too long, even going through baggage check, because I always have a backpack with me, like a hydration pack with and stuff in it. That went super smoothly. And then we got our first view of the festival grounds. We've heard about it for so many years, but we got our first view of what it was actually like to be there. And question for you, Taryn, did it live up to the hype?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm a fantasy nut in terms of the genres that I appreciate. I love EDM, and this was the culmination of all of those things. It was fantasy, it's EDM, it's just grown-ups, and it was immersive, it was artistic, and it was just another world. And I loved the cultural representation across, the globe and the unification. We made friends from people from all over the world, which was so cool. And you don't even have to speak the same language in order to connect with people. But I just love the scale, the magnitude of what they created. It's awe. I think that's the only way to put it, is you see this and you are just in awe of what you're seeing. And it is just magnificent. But what did you think?
Yeah, I would agree with you as well. I think this is what's really cool is I know people hear 400,000 people and they think chaos and craziness. It's probably one of the few experiences, especially in the EDM, and for those that don't know, EDM is electronic dance music, in that genre of, life, for people that go to these things, is everyone, for the most part, is so into the whole peace and love and unity and positivity and all these different things. And so, even though you're in packed spaces at times, people are nice, they're kind, they tap you when they want to pass through or get through the crowd. I mean, it's a really great experience overall. One of the advantages of going weekend one, which is what we did, is you don't get the main stage spoiled by social media. You get to see it for yourself without being spoiled on how spectacular it is. And the main stage at Tomorrowland has 15 or 16 stages. The main stage is the largest stage in the world. Every year it's different. They keep it under wraps. It's a huge reveal when you first see it. There are people that literally walk up to top of the hill with their eyes closed and then open their eyes so they can take it all in at once. It's a huge thing. But to give you a reference, this stage was 450 feet wide. So the size of a football field and a half for just the stage. And I think it was probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 stories tall. Massive stage. Fire effects, water cannons. I mean, waterfalls on the stage. Yeah, confetti. All sorts of things. Massive screens. This is an incredible scale. There's detail. The production. I'd say 100% lived up to the hype.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely lived up to the hype and then some, because I think there was only a couple of things that left me wanting for more, but everything else either delivered or over-delivered on what my expectations were.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the main stage is I watched a YouTube video that taught me that actually used to be an old quartz quarry or something like that. And so it's actually on a hill. So what's really cool is if you want to, you can be actually farther back on the main stage and sit on the ground because you're on like an amphitheater, a very natural amphitheater design, and take it all in as well if you don't want to be standing the whole time also, which is really nice.
And good news for my short girlies, because obviously we can't see most of the time if we're on the ground level. So good news if you are a short queen or short king, because you can be on the hill and you can actually have a fantastic view and a place to sit.
So on day one, we did some things like we went to the Tomorrowland store on site and bought some merch. We rented a 3-day locker so we can keep stuff in there if we needed to. We bounced to a couple stages, not a ton. We didn't explore too much. I mean, it was a lot to take in, obviously, for day one. We had some really great food. I think we had the Korean fried chicken that first day.
Oh, yeah, that was amazing.
And also to note, so Tomorrowland is completely cashless. So basically you load your bracelet. So your same bracelet you scan to get in is the same bracelet you use to pay the entire time. You load that. They convert your euros into pearls. I'm not even going to get into that conversion because I don't even understand it.
I was going to say, that's the hardest part of the entire festival, is doing like the pearl math when you're getting drinks or buying something and you're like trying to convert I'm doing like US dollars to euros to pearls. And at a certain point, I was just like, I want it. I'm buying it.
Yeah, basically they're like, hey, this is going to be 8 pearls for this drink. That's probably, I don't even know, 15 euros, which is probably $20. No idea. But we ended up initially, each of us loaded 300 euros onto the bracelet, and that got us that was the minimum to get the most bonus pearls. We got 7 additional bonus pearls each, and then throughout the visit, and we ended up probably each adding another 40 to 80-ish euros. So I'd say, and that's, we bought like a bottle of wine for dinner, which we're going to get to in a little bit. I bought a shirt with it. So there's some other things outside of food and beverage. But just so you know, at Tomorrowland, the food here is on an entire other level. Whether you have a premium dining experience or just a basic walk up and buy a Korean fried chicken, they have everything under the sun you could possibly think of food and more, and it's all so top notch.
Incredible food. And I mean, if you're used to what we are, which is like Insomniac events or like, Ultra Miami, this is a whole nother vibe on the food level, because it is just really, really quality food. And they have the entire representation from so many different countries, different kinds of food. So it was actually hard to decide what to eat a lot of the time, because it's like, all right, it's time to eat. What do we pick? And everything smelled amazing. It looked amazing. And that was actually some of the most challenging things, I think, to choose.
Yeah, because literally when you went to a food area, there'd be a wall of great options for you to pick from, which was fantastic. I want to make sure I mention this before I forget, because I did allude to the fact that we always get VIP. We did not have VIP for this festival. There was not really a time where I was like, man, I wish I had VIP, which I don't think I definitely would never have said at any of the Insomniac or EDC events, because the VIP, they do have some specific areas, but like at the main stage, it's the very, 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 very back on top of the hill.
Yeah. It's not close.
Not at all. You don't get special bathrooms outside of, I guess, in that area. You don't get special bathrooms to go to. The entrance to get in, there's a VIP line that was empty as the line that we walked through. So I actually truly feel like, yes, if you can get the VIP package, great, but it's not really needed for this, which is the feedback that I saw all over Reddit. Everyone was like, hey, we got it. We're not getting it again. It really wasn't worth it. So without getting it, I would say I probably agree, because it's an extra 300 euros per person for the VIP.
Yeah, and because we were at a theme hotel, we got so much swag that you would never get with GA and general admission ticket with any other festival ever. I mean, we've had VIP and never got even close to that amount of swag. And what you get is actually so much more than what you would get at a, like United States festival, from our experience at least. So I was blown away at the amount of extra little gifts, the little wallets, the backpacks. I mean, they gave us so much stuff that was so useful, so helpful, so cool. The beauty bar, all of the things. I also don't see the need. We didn't get to do it, so we don't know what's behind the comfort curtain. Maybe there is something there that we would want to try. But I was not feeling like bummed that, oh man, can't believe we didn't get VIP. And I felt like we had so much more delivered, considering that it was a general admission ticket.
Yeah, well, absolutely 100% there. One of the cool things also, you talk about benefits of staying at the hotel. Our shuttle, by the time we got back, it was like 3 a.m, and our shuttle had what they call a midnight snack. And so everyone got off the bus and walked into a room, and they had that first night, and they had a midnight snack every night, but that first night we had this pasta.
We had no idea. It was a surprise.
It was a surprise. We didn't know to expect that.
You were so tired. You were just like, you were going straight to the elevator, and I was like, babe, there's a sign that says snack. And you're like, what? I was like, there's food. And they had pasta, and we were so happy. I was so happy I saw it. I'm so happy I didn't let him just storm into the elevator, because we were both getting hungry at that time, because it was almost it was the next day. And they had sodas, they had like food. It was, and every night it was a different meal. And that's, I think that might only be for the theme hotels. I'm not sure, but it was such a welcome thing when you're getting back so late. Like, we left at 1:30, we're getting back around 2:30, and then we have food. So on top of the food that we already had while we were at the festival. So it was really welcome thing to have. And then every night on the shuttle, I'm like, ooh, what do you think they're going to have tonight when we get back as our snack?
Yeah, it was a great surprise for sure. So moving to day 2, woke up again. So this is one of the parts that was probably the most rough, is because we'd get back, shuttle, snack, and then we're in bed by like 3:30, 4 a.m. And at the theme hotels, you have 2 shuttle options. You have 11:30 a.m. or 1:30 p.m. The non-theme hotels, which you get literally nothing, it's just a hotel, they usually only have one shuttle that leaves at either 11 or leaves at 12. So we actually have 2 options here. Noticeably, when I went to breakfast that ended at noon, I would get there at like 11:50 every day. This day, it was packed because everyone was tired. Everyone slept in. Everyone basically got on the 1:30 shuttle. And so that was one thing that was unique, but they didn't mind. They had the breakfast stocked really well. And Tomorrowland releases a newspaper every single day that the hotel actually has, because they're part of the global journey. And that newspaper, actually, old school newspaper, actually has not just pictures, but tidbits, things to know, surprises, Easter eggs, a lot of things. So I actually read that during breakfast.
Absolutely. And getting the gift every day was always a welcome thing, because you never knew we were going to get. We got popcorn, we've got toiletries, we've got Tomorrowland, shampoo, conditioner, all of those things. We got luggage tags. I mean, there was always so many surprises that, again, with a general admission ticket, I would never expect to have gotten so many fun things that I could use again afterwards. So that was very cool. And it made you feel special. And I feel like nobody does that for GA tickets anywhere. So that was a really nice, unique feeling, I think, that you really felt taken care of without being VIP.
Yeah, I absolutely would agree with you on that as well. So, we took the shuttle back, rinse and repeat the next day. This day, we were all about exploring. We wanted to see as much of the property, as much as the Tomorrowland as we possibly could. We bounced from stage to stage to stage just to literally just experience it, to say that we went. We saw areas, we literally just walked into areas and was like, oh, here's a Ferris wheel here, and there's a DJ under the Ferris wheel. And we rode the Ferris wheel. And
oh, here's some reggaeton. Who expected that? Just get
exactly.
down.
Yeah.
It was just really exploratory, which was fun. Just wandering around, seeing cool things, seeing performers. I mean, there was no shortage of things to, enjoy with your eyes, your ears, as well as, to satiate yourself. So, I mean, it was just like an immersive of all of the senses.
Yeah, and each stage was so unique. I'm not going to go through all the stages because episode would be forever if I did.
It would be way too long, yeah.
Yeah, check out the vlog when we do it. I'm going to I'll talk through all the stages. You'll be able to see that when that comes out. But there's two things I want to talk about on this day from a stage standpoint that was really cool. The first one at Freedom Stage was the Symphony of Unity, which was a symphony. I'm talking harp, full, everything you could think of that would be in a symphony.
Full orchestra.
Full orchestra. Thank you. Full orchestra. Playing electronic music. So if you know Avicii Levels, which is probably one of the best EDM songs in history, right? Imagine a full orchestra performing that song with like the smoke cannons and all the things.
I was going to say, and it was covered, so it was all lights.
Yep.
And beautiful light show. So it was like, again, an immersive experience of the senses and like bringing in that old school sound, but in the new music. It was very moving, I thought.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And the second one was, again, just bumping around, randomly showing up at different stages. We ended up at the Celestia stage, which is the one that's shaped like a butterfly. And there, randomly, again, we get there. This wasn't a DJ that was on our list of DJs to stop and listen to. Was a DJ from Spain. The only DJ the entire weekend that we heard that didn't speak any English at all, so only was speaking Spanish. And Spain showed out for this guy because their World Cup finale was the next day. And this place had so much energy, and he was also a phenomenal DJ as well.
He was awesome. He was incredible. We were getting down, and the Spain crew, honestly, it was electric energy because Spain showed up to Tomorrowland. There were so many people decked out with the flag, with the jerseys, and they were just vibing. And they were so much fun to hang out with. And at this stage, the music was great. The vibes were great. The people were great. And that was such a cool thing to stumble upon. So definitely don't just stick to the people you know. Go explore if you go here. Like, don't just stick to, like, I want to see this person. Go see the other stages, because I promise you, there is some magic everywhere.
Yeah, and that's one of the things to know as well. You mentioned the flags. All through Tomorrowland, you're going to see people holding flags of all over the world. It's really, really cool to see. And so that's part of the reason why we knew this was from Spain, because so many of them just had flags in this very, very small outdoor stage, one of the 15, 16 stages there. So it was really cool, but it was also in a perfect location because it's literally steps away from our premium dining experience, which was Brasa, that I booked for us, which was 89 euros per person. And Taryn, you're the foodie, so you got to talk through what was this experience like?
I mean, there was a fantastic welcome drink, which I loved before you even got to the table. And the meats. The meats were spectacular. We had smoked meats. We had like a glistening, marbled, like ribeye. I mean, the sides were imaginative and honestly, like very Michelin level creative, like the one that had the popcorn in the side, like with I would have never thought, but like the crunch and the crisp. I can't explain it as much as I would like to. It would, again, this episode would be way too long, but the experience was incredible. They had another area that once you finished eating, you could go sit, look at the water, watch the Old Spice boat move back and forth, and just enjoy the rest of your drinks, get your dessert. But the service was fantastic. The food was immaculate. It was perfection. Like, I would have thought it was, like a Michelin dining experience, to be quite honest, if I didn't realize where we were.
Yeah, and the fact that it's such a crazy dichotomy, because this was, again, almost a Michelin level restaurant that's literal steps away from a rager right next to it. And then even at the main stage, there's multiple dining options at the main stage that are premium experiences. One is, I think, actually Michelin star overlooking the main stage. I mean, again, this is such an elevated festival. If you've never been, it's unlike anything, literally unlike anything else in the world as well. So that was our highlights of day 2. We ended up, again, taking the shuttle back, another midnight snack as well, straight to bed to rinse and repeat again for day 3, the final day of Tomorrowland, which was Sunday, also the day of the World Cup, which made it really interesting as well. And we spent that day a little bit differently. We made sure to catch the stages that we hadn't gotten to yet, which we hung out at, but we also got to hang out with new friends that we met at the festival, which is really normal to do in these festivals, is to make friends.
Yeah, I mean, we made friends from so many countries as well as from the US, but we made friends from Colombia, from Spain, from Sweden, I mean, from Germany. It was so cool. And unity is really like at the heart of this festival. And that really is like the whole point, is to bring people together with music and bring people together and the things that we can unite to. So it was fantastic making so many new friends from across the world and getting to hang out with them and do different things, and then checking out all the stages that we hadn't been to yet. Moose Bar inside.
Moose Bar is wild.
It's wild. The inside was like a sauna.
Yes.
Like literally, it was not comfortable. Their patio outdoor area was fantastic and fun, but the inside I would avoid, only because it was just so humid and hot.
I've never experienced, it's technically its own stage. It's actually a bar that's just on that park, the property of the park in general. It was the closest thing I think I've ever seen, or the most frat-like party I've ever seen ever. That was like a frat house.
Because you go to a lot of frat parties.
I did, exactly. I don't think I've technically ever went to any in my life. But it was that experience, because also they had the giant Stein like glasses for beer, so they would be carrying like 10 of them in their hands. This place was packed. I mean, it was They made
incredible. A tower of the glasses, and it was still a really fun vibe. And I'm glad that we hopped around and got to see all of the other stages that we hadn't been to yet. And then we had more great food.
Yep.
Obviously.
And then so the World Cup final, Spain versus Argentina, basically that game started happening, I think around would have been maybe 9 o'clock our time when we were in Brussels. I don't exactly remember, but it was basically as the night was wrapping up. And so people were watching it on their phone. So you have this these stages going, lights, lasers, fire, all sorts of things. And people were like watching on their phone and dancing and partying. But of course, as everyone knows, it was 0-0 most of the time. So the stress, you can see the anxiety of both the Argentinian fans, which were a bunch of, and the Spanish fans, which were way more. Yes. And so when we went to our last act of the day of the whole weekend was Calvin Harris, main stage. I was actually standing next to a Spanish guy watching on his phone. And when they scored that goal, so again, imagine largest stage ever, most craziest sound system you could ever hear.
And Calvin Harris back after 13 years.
And Calvin Harris playing, yes, for the first time in 13 years. Everyone's wild for this guy, and you can hear the sound of Spain cheering for that goal over the entire production of this festival, which we wear earplugs for, specifically like concert earplugs, to mute the sound. It's so loud. You could hear Spain chanting over that. It was absolutely wild to be there when that was happening.
It was electric. I felt like I was part of the party. And, I had made friends with Spain, so they put, Team Spain paint on me. I was representing, because my family's from Spain. Obviously, I gotta represent. And that was just wild. It was just wild, like hearing them and seeing them celebrate, especially once Calvin Harris and the whole thing closed. You could still hear them chanting and celebrating. There was so much life, so much energy, and it was really fun.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. And as you said at the beginning, we can't give it justice because you have to actually be there.
You have to see it. Yeah.
We've heard so much about it. It's been on our bucket list for years for both of us, even before mowing each other. And to actually be there was spectacular. I got to say, though, there were so many highlights. There were so many great things, so many things we loved. But there were a few downsides. So why don't you share some of your thoughts there, Taryn? Because there were some things that weren't as ideal as we would have liked them to be.
Yeah. So as a girl, I'm going to talk firstly about the bathrooms. Some of the bathrooms are different than other bathrooms. So the ones that were the white bathrooms were also the ones that had the drinking water where you could refill your hydro packs if you brought those. But then the other bathrooms were like more porta potties. They didn't have like a hook for you to put like your bag on or anything. They were running out of toilet paper. A lot of them didn't flush. And then they didn't have drinkable water. So that was a bit of a cluster because you're waiting in line, causing an issue there. So I think some of the bathroom situations could be a little bit better in terms of that as a female. What about you?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. For the most part, the bathrooms were great. What's really unique for us guys out there, I've never seen this before, experienced this, but they have troughs for men literally everywhere, even like around the main stage. It's kind of crazy where you could just, yeah.
Well, they have them for the homeless, even in the city.
In the cities,
of
you're right, they do.
So, yeah, I mean, this is something because they're like, we don't want people just peeing on our architecture. And I was like, well, that's genius. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, but indeed, like these are things that like they're like this egg-shaped device that just sits there. You don't walk into it. You're not hidden. So, you know, guys and women can just walk by you very normally and you can just be there peeing, which is really unique. I've never seen anything like that before. But they have that all through the festival, which is really interesting. That's not a downside. That's actually a plus.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a bad, but that was a good thing.
Yeah.
I wish I could have taken advantage of such restrooms, but they were not crafted for my gender.
Well, a bummer. This is more of a bummer because we can't control this because Europe has a drought. They didn't have fireworks, and fireworks is one of the most spectacular aspects of the show, especially the DJ goes and, you know, the music drops and boom, fireworks go off and such. Can't control that. The biggest downside thing for me was the ending walk back to the shuttle. So I mentioned when they drop us off, it's only a 15-minute walk to the gate. Well, the area where everyone collects their shuttle, gets on their design shuttle for whatever hotel they're going to. This is not an exaggeration because I clocked it. It's a literal 2-mile walk. It takes an hour from the main stage. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when the show ends at 1 o'clock in the morning and you have to walk an hour and you've been on your feet for 12 hours and dancing and such, and then for the first probably 45 minutes of that hour, you're just shuffling in a large mass of people. That was probably the biggest downside because you're just exhausted, you're tired, you're probably hungry, which is why the midnight snack came in really well. But it's a literal 2-mile walk that took it's a little over 2 miles that took just under an hour to do. So that was probably my biggest downside.
Yeah, wear comfortable shoes if you're going to go. Very comfortable. And I think I ended up at 70 miles for the 3-day weekend when I looked at my entire distance that I had done, which I was pretty impressed with. And a lot of that was dancing, not just the walk. So for context, that was a little bit of fist pumping and just dancing. But yeah, I mean, it was a very long walk. And honestly, if you were drunk or you know, anything
injured,
like, it would be, injured. It would be really rough, but I didn't mind it. I liked getting the steps in. Personally, at least in this occasion where I didn't have a foot injury for once.
Yeah. So after that was the end of Tomorrowland. So we had a recovery day. So Tomorrowland ended on Sunday. Monday, we didn't leave the hotel essentially the entire morning or afternoon. We ordered in room service and such. I got to speak to the quality of the hotel because that guy was, I don't know if flabbergasted is the word, but they wanted to make sure they delivered the right room service experience, and he was on it.
He was. And I had ordered a pasta. They didn't have it. I ordered a different pasta and he's like, let me make it up for you. I'm going to give you a bigger portion. And then when he came to deliver it, he's like, I had to, talk to them and they were saying, give them pizza. But I said, no, they ordered this bottle of rosé. He was the cutest guy ever. He was so vouching for us. He's like, I yelled at my boss and I said, I can't serve pizza with the bottle of rosé, which I appreciated so much. And we had an excellent in-room experience and there wasn't even an option to tip on the card. he just was like, I want to make sure that you have the best experience and we don't want a bad review. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, this isn't even a selfish request. This is like really about reputation, which I think says a lot about the integrity and, you know, what they want. They want you to have the best experience ever at Tomorrowland. And again, I know we just said a couple things that could have been better. It was hard to find a lot of downsides, to be quite honest, because it was a magical experience and we're being a little nitpicky. And yeah, 2 miles is far. But aside from that, everything else, I think we're kind of nitpicking.
Yeah, 100% agree. It was fantastic. There was one actual last event. It was called Rhythm of Consciencia. So the theme this year was Consciencia. Every year it's a different theme. The stage is built on this theme. This was something that was an additional €25. It was basically at our hotel, and you know, we were tired, we weren't really planning on going anywhere, but it was like, hey, this is here. They didn't really tell us what it was going to be at all.
Idea.
We had no idea what it was going to be. But it was like, oh, it's here, like, why not, let's just go. I'm so glad we went, because that was such an incredible experience.
Yeah, I mean, I only said let's go because it was in our hotel. And I was like, we can just go downstairs. Like, that's not hard. And it was the drums. It was very theatrical. It was a lot of raw emotion, a lot of feeling and rhythm. It was a beautiful way to wrap up. And I think, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I wasn't ready for the weekend to end. So I was really grateful to have like another experience before we had to say farewell.
Yeah, I would compare it to, I think, that musical Stomp. Was it where they're like banging on trash cans and stuff with like the Blue Man Group?
Blue Man Group, yeah.
It was like that together in a unique way, you know. So it was really cool how they did. It was like an hour show specifically, but it was really great. What's pretty cool about that, again, 400,000 people at this festival, less than probably 200 people in this kind of small theater showed up for this, and so I'm really glad that we were part of that group that decided to get tickets for it.
Yeah, it was a really moving piece, taking, again, the full orchestra, the drums and all of the things, and then tying it together with EDM and dance. And it was a beautiful combination of art.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And so we obviously, unfortunately, had to return home. One thing that's really cool to know, I wanted to mention this and I forgot at the beginning about the global journey of different packages. They actually have certain packages where you can actually take the official Tomorrowland plane or Tomorrowland train to Brussels. And when you do that, literally you get on the plane and there's a DJ like where the flight attendants stand, like partying, like literally DJing. Everyone's got like glow sticks and stuff. Like they're literally partying, and the train is the same exact way. And you get to the airport and there's DJs at the airport when you arrive. And what's really cool I say about this, I thought, Taryn, was the fact that when we told people, even the immigration officer, when we told them like, hey, we're here, you know, are you here for business or vacation? What's your reason? I was like, Tomorrowland. He perked up. People were excited that we were here for Tomorrowland, like the locals were. Yeah. It wasn't something that were upset, like, oh man, all these tourists coming into town. Like they genuinely, like the country got behind this event.
It's true. Everywhere we went that we told people we were here for Tomorrowland, they would go, oh, have you been before? And we're like, no. And they're like, oh, you're going to love it. They were happy we were there. They were excited for us, and they were amping it up. And we've been to a lot of places that had hosted major events. Like we went to Qatar right after they hosted the World Cup, and they were done with tourists at that point, and I think they were just sick of everybody. So it was a really refreshing thing that every single, whether it was a cab driver or, you know, anybody we spoke to, they were so happy we were there for Tomorrowland. And there were so many locals that we even saw at the airport the next day who worked at the lounges or at the airlines that are like, oh yeah, I went there for a day. It was awesome. Like, it is a very popular thing, and it's so cool.
So as far as getting back home, we ended up booking this. This was so Brussels all the way to our home airport. So every time we take one of these crazy trips, it's almost rare that I can do this, but I always try to see, is there a redemption option that gets us all the way through on one booking to our home airport, as opposed to having to get back into the US and do another positioning flight. almost never works out, but it's never hurts to try. This time, it actually worked out. So this was Brussels to Dulles to Norfolk, and the flight from, that's DC basically, so that's only an hour flight for us, which is nice. So the one-way would have been $7,400. We ended up spending 140,000 points in total for two people, $292 in cash, so that ends up being about a 5-cent redemption. Now, to be fair here, I actually looked up what would have been the actual cash cost round trip from Norfolk to Brussels in business class, and that was going to be about $8,000. So of course, when you do all these one ways, it's a lot more expensive. It was like $13,000 or so. So this actually would have been $8,000. So in fairness, I'd say the value of our points that we used, we got about a 2.8 cent redemption if you actually calculate the round trip, because I know many of you are going to give me some crap because I'm calculating it from a one-way standpoint. But in total, we ended up basically using 300,000 points in total if you include Taryn's IHG points for the stay there. So this was Brussels business class. We ended up flying from Brussels to Munich first, and although that was business class, that actually was just like a standard 737 where the middle seat was blocked off. So there really wasn't a separation between first class and economy, like a dramatic one. It was basically just regular economy seating with some space. Better food, basically.
Yeah, you had a little space and some snacks. I mean, it was small snacks, but it was still nice. I've definitely been in some inter-Europe flights in first that you don't even feel like you're in first, so just like the U.S. So that was definitely more than we get in the U.S. in first class on a flight that short. Absolutely. And so we got to the Munich airport, had to go through a very kind of late immigration passport check, and then we sat for about 5 hours in the Lufthansa business class lounge. Nice lounge, nothing crazy, comfortable seating. I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular. And then we had our flight back. This was about an 8-hour flight, maybe closer to 9-hour flight. And that was on the double-decker A380. So we had that in business class. Business class is almost all of the second level outside of the very front, which is Lufthansa first class. And this was our flight all the way to Dulles. I thought this was a fantastic flight. It's the exact, almost like literally the exact same as the A330 we flew on Brussels Airlines. This was a 222 configuration. The seats worked the exact same way. The screens worked the exact same way. Everything was the same, except for, Taryn, the storage that you obsessed about. Especially if you have the window seat, which is the best seat ever. All my window people know what I'm talking about. I had 3 bins that could fit like 22 pounds each, 3 of them all along the side, which was fantastic. So I had all of this space, more space than I feel like I ever have. I really like the Lufthansa product. I think that they have great, food, great wine selection, great service, and I love the storage. It's one of my favorites. I would actually put it, Emirates, Qatar Q Suites, and then I put Lufthansa. I think it's my number 3. And I know that's some hefty competition to put it against, but I'm going to stand by it because I think that that's how good it was. So I really enjoyed that flight. I slept. You did not sleep so much.
No, I did not. And for the record, we haven't flown Singapore Suites or Etihad the Residence or anything like that. So if anyone's thinking that we're outweighing those to that, there are some things that we haven't actually flown.
You can only compare it, to what we've done.
What we've flown. I would say this, if anyone that's flown Emirates first class, if you know like that button you press where the that thing lights up and the bottles come out of the wall, it's that storage space basically on the side, which is really, really cool. So so you got to put pretty much everything there. So you never have to get up for your carry-on bag, or your personal item, I should say, which was really nice. I thought it was great as well. Similar issue, I felt really hot. I couldn't really sleep or nap at all. Also, the plugs in the exact same location don't hold anything really well. Didn't work really well either. Exact same issue I had on the other plane. So I don't know if, again, just coincidental or what there, but I like the product. The food was really great. That snack, it was I had like a curry sausage an hour before landing, which was phenomenal. Overall, really liked it. Our flight attendant was really nice.
Fantastic. She was such a sweetheart.
Yeah, she was great.
Oh my gosh, the food was great. Yeah, I mean, everything there was fantastic. So literally 0 complaints for that flight.
Yeah, it was overall well. We landed into Dulles, and lo and behold, due to weather issues, our next flight was severely delayed as well, like 3 or 4 hours. Didn't even think we were going to go out that night. I actually was at the desk looking to get our flight changed to the next morning. We were going to go figure out a hotel to stay at when found out that because the plane was waiting for a flight crew to come from Atlanta, and then randomly a pilot showed up and said, "Hey, I've been reassigned to this flight," and we ended up getting out of there within a reasonable amount of time from that point.
But it was like 2 a.m. It was so late. Like, we didn't think that like we would be leaving there at 2 a.m. Like, we were pretty sure that flight was going to get canceled. I'm glad that we hadn't left, because waiting a whole nother day would have been crazy. But it seems like all of the issues are still on the U.S. side for the most part, because between 3 different carriers, right?
Yep.
Delta, American, United, all of them had severe delays. All of them had the same kind of weather issues, implications. We know there's still the FAA shortage, so there's obviously other things at play. And I was not excited to come back to this lettuce explosive situation. There's a lot of things that I was like, are you sure you don't want to just stay in Europe? Like, we could just wait this out. And
yeah, so we ended up getting home, like, after also baggage claim took forever as well. We ended up getting home at almost 4 in the morning. So overall, a lot of delays, but it was a fantastic trip. I know this episode has ran very long, so I'll just ask you, Taryn, would we do it all over again?
We have to, because there were no fireworks because of the dry season that they were having and the mandate they did for weekend 1 of no fireworks for the weekend we were there. So we have to go next year again, so we can experience all of it with the fireworks.
Yeah, and one of the really cool things is once you go with Global Journey, you get access. So we got our tickets in January when the pre-sale came in. And so once you go, you get access in December for the following year. So if you grab that next year, then you can keep getting that access in December. But if you miss that, then you have to go back to the Hunger Games level of trying to get tickets in January. Exactly. So there's an argument to, once you go, to not stop going. And that's really cool, is when you go, you see people with bracelets from all the years they've been there. So it's a big thing to be able to go more than once as well. So yes, we absolutely will go again.
And we can hit more countries. I was going to say, we can hit Paris, we can hit Luxembourg, we can go to Amsterdam. There's we could tie in so many other trips if we keep going. So I am team Tomorrowland. I don't need to go to EDC Vegas ever again, because this ended up being cheaper and better.
I would agree with that. And with that note, I'll let you take us home.
All right. So if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the show and connect with us on social media. You can also join our private Facebook group and sign up for the BoldlyGo newsletter for more travel inspiration, points and miles strategies, and insider updates that we don't always share on the podcast. And if you know somebody who would enjoy this episode, please share it with them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and please leave us a review. It's one of the best ways that you can help support the show and our future content. And remember to travel well, live boldly, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Take care, everybody.